India has overtaken China as the world's most populous country. It's the first time since 1950, when the UN first began keeping global population records, that China has been knocked off the top spot.
For this land of some 350 million, second only to China, is the foremost commercial power in all Asia.
While you might be surprised, data scientists have widely predicted and expected the overtake. But how did that happen? China's population growth decline follows decades of strict laws to bring the country's booming birth rate under control, including the introduction of a one-child policy in the 1980s. This included fines for having extra children, forced abortions, and sterilizations. While initially highly effective in controlling the population, these policies became a victim of their own success, and the country is now grappling with an aging population in steep decline. Because of a traditional preference for boys, the one-child policy led to a gender imbalance. Men now outnumber women by about 32 million. Recent policies introduced in China trying to incentivize women to have more children have done little to stimulate population growth. Women still have only 1.2 children, and the population is expected to fall below 1 billion before the end of the century.
India. How many forgotten dreams does she bring to mind?
In India, the population has grown by more than 1 billion since 1950. Yes, 1 billion more in just this country in just 70 years. India's population growth has averaged 1.2% since 2011, down from 1.7% the previous decade. Even though growth has now slowed, the number of people in the country is still expected to continue to rise for the next few decades, hitting its peak of 1.7 billion by 2064. Currently, the average age in India is just 29, and the country could use the so-called demographic dividend, which proved highly useful in China, leading to an economic boom, particularly in manufacturing. India's demography is far from uniform across the country. 1/3 of predicted population growth over the next decade will come from just 2 states, Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, in the north of the country, which are some of India's poorest and most agricultural states. Uttar Pradesh alone already has a population of about 235 million, bigger than Nigeria or Brazil. Meanwhile, states in India's south, which is more prosperous and has far higher rates of literacy, population rates have already stabilized and have begun to fall. In the next decade, states in the southern states, such as Kerala and Tamil Nadu, are likely to start grappling with an aging population, and by 2025, 1 in 5 people in Kerala will be over 60. Unexpectedly, this imbalance has political consequences. Many politicians in southern states have expressed concern that their successes in bringing down population numbers through education programs, family planning, and high literacy could result in a reduction in their political representation in parliament, and further political domination of the northern states have continued to have a population boom. While the United Nations provides a fair approximation, the exact size of India's population is still not known due to a delay in the government carrying out the census, which usually takes place every decade. It was due in 2021, but was postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and the government, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has yet to announce the date it will commence. The announcement by the UN is likely to increase pressure on the Indian government to carry out the survey, and experts say the lack of vital data is hindering policymaking and welfare programs. Some have accused the Modi government of obstructing the census process in order to disguise data that could be politically disadvantageous. However, the government says the delay is due to an ongoing effort to incorporate technology into the process. If you're still feeling anxious about our planet being overcrowded, keep in mind that the global population is predicted to peak at nearly 10.4 billion in the mid-2080s and then begin a decline. Human reproduction is neither the problem nor the solution to challenges such as climate change, pandemics, conflicts, mass displacement, and economic uncertainty, said the UN representative, underlining a need to be cautious against erasing human rights and autonomy in discussions about whether population growth is a concern. By the way, if you're interested to learn more about anti-intuitive facts of demographics and statistics, we recommend a book called Factfulness by Hans Rosling. Obama said this is one of his favorite books, and we liked it too. There's also a great TEDx talk by the author.